interview. So I took the risk to go for the interview on the 7th March without
Funding. And you were
funding, with
approved.
just a bank statement. And yes,
Wow,
and I was
nice.
approved. And she checked the computer and then she said she see from the feedback that I was denied
Yeah.
on the 27th July. What has changed?
All right, before we start, consider subscribing to the channel. This helps me so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned previous denial. When was this?
Where um this was in 2023,
Ah,
July
okay.
2023. Just like I was doing my national service. Yeah, I applied to a private school in New York, which also had a huge cost of attendance. Even though I had a graduate assistantship, but
The
then it
deficit
was
was
partial.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the deficit was so huge. I even had an on-campus internship, even everything added, so that
Yeah.
the deficit was huge. So I went to the interview and then I realized
Mm,
because of the deficit and all that, and in a way it helped because there was no way I was going to be
mm.
able to pay that money. And sometimes the decisions of the viewers really teaches us less.
You're
Oh
right.
yeah, because it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I always try to tell students to avoid New York because the cost of attendance is very high. And even if you get funding, sometimes that small deficit is still a lot. So I always, try to
yes.
tell students to, you know. So you the 40s, right? You said you got admission, you didn't get any funding, right? Did you
No, no,
process
no,
your visa
no.
without funding again?
Yes, I processed. Okay, this is what happened. When before applying, I emailed the graduate coordinator about funding opportunities, and he said yes, they've sent an approval to the university. The department has sent an approval to the. They have sent a request, sorry, to the university, waiting approval of funds. So I should go ahead and apply. So I applied everything, got my admission, got I-20. I emailed. That was in 2023 August. That was when I got the admission. So I emailed and they said by January, February, I'll get a response from them. By then the
Mm.
budget has been approved, so they will know the funding and all of that. So we got to January, as I still don't heard anything from them, and at that time too, because I had my I-20, I had already bought the MRV and
Ah.
scheduled for it. And soon as I entered the portal, I saw 7th March. That was 2024.
Ah.
Yeah, so I just picked the date. Yeah, then waiting to hear from the department because I already got an admission, waiting to hear from them
Ah.
about the funding. And it got to March, January, February, March. I emailed them, still not approved. So I should keep on waiting. And the date I got to, well, I was taking a risk. I didn't want to reschedule it because my funding was not in. So I just wanted to, go get a bank statement, go to the interview. If it doesn't work out, definitely in the course of the year, March is very early and
Yeah.
school starts in August. I have about 5 months. I can still get another date,
With funding.
with
Yeah.
good hunting and then, yes, and then go for the interview. So I took the risk to go for the interview on the 7th March without
Funding. And you were
funding, with
approved.
just a bank statement. And yes,
Wow,
and I was
nice.
approved. Yeah.
Can you tell me about your
Yeah.
visa interview experience? How did it go? Why do you think? Because the first one too, you didn't have any funding, and you went and you were denied.
Yeah, the first
Okay,
one
first
was
one was partial,
partial.
and this one
It
no
was
funding.
partial. And the
Different
deficit,
schools, and also
yes,
was
yes,
it the same
different.
program, cybersecurity?
Yeah,
Okay,
the
so
same program.
what do you
The same.
think made the magic for you? Because I feel like it's kind of complicated, for you to be approved.
Yeah, well, I feel the first one, the cost of attendance in
Hmm.
general was very huge, and the funding too was small, and the deficit was nearing about 22,000. The deficit was even closer to the cost of attendance of 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel with the second one. And the university also gives all international students $1,000 for free once you're international students you are admitted, you'll be given $1,000. That's the term it world ready scholarship. So when you come to campus, they will disperse the
Oh,
money to you and all of that. So that one was on my I-20. Yeah. So taking that amount out, you'll be left with around 23,000. So I think they felt 23,000 is,
mm,
not that kind of too huge. Yeah, and that with the bank statement I had, but my sponsor would be able to, pay. And I think
wow.
that's the main reason why
Do
I
you remember
was
some of the questions you
approved.
asked and how you answered them? Not exactly how it happened, but just more like a
Yeah.
general picture.
Yeah, so they asked me where I'm going, and then I told her I'm going to Fort Hayes to study a 2 years master of professional studies in cybersecurity. My course is a course based, and I mentioned some of the courses and you know some of the projects. I'll be doing all of that. And then she asked me who'll be paying for this, and I mentioned my sponsor's name, and she asked me of the financial document. That's the bank statement. So I handed it over to her. She flipped. It was actually a business statement of about 95
Wow.
pages. So she flipped. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She flipped through and then asked me, has the sponsors traveled before? And I said, yeah. And she asked, has he sponsored anyone before? And I said, yeah, some of my siblings and all of that. And she checked the computer and then said she see from the feedback that I was denied
Yeah.
on the 27th July. What has changed? And I said, my cost of attendance for the first one was very high relative to this one. And I think my sponsor can pay without any payment plan or anything like that. Then she was just nodding and said, okay, have you traveled before? I said, no, this will be my first time. I said, okay, someone, we are approving your visa, blah, blah,
Wow.
blah, blah. Yeah. So that was,
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like your story is very complicated, but yeah, good job. Good job, actually. Yeah. And what about the school? Did you eventually get funding?
Yes, yes, I did. I did. Not in my department. They never approved, that
Funding.
funds for
Okay.
the department. Yes, but then I from
How
the
did you get
international
funding from the
office.
international office?
Yeah, okay. So over here we have a work day where they
Hmm.
post campus
Oh,
jobs,
okay.
jobs for graduate students. So since I had
Admission.
I
Yeah.
had an admission and then also the institutional email of the school, I was able to
Yeah.
log in, create an account. So almost all the jobs and assistantships they were posting, I was getting
Hmm.
access to them whilst I was in Ghana. So that was where I got the opportunity to apply
So,
to
so
some
how
of
many
them.
of them? Do
Yeah.
you remember
So
how many you applied to of those assistantships?
yeah, I applied to three
Okay.
of them. I think one was with the I think the grad school
Yeah.
had some positions, the international office had some positions, and there was one professor hiring students
Lab.
for
Okay.
his lab. It's like a media lab. Yeah, so he needed students. So I applied to all these three, and then I had interviews with them, but I was able to get with the
Hmm.
international office.
How
Yeah.
did you get the international office one?